Welcome to Live Impact News. I'm Julie Kay here for a special edition in the Impact Studio. We are following No Kings protests, the third round of these protests nationwide across our area. So this is a look at our reporters across the scene. We've got reporters at First Ward Park in Charlotte. That's going on right now. We're going to get a live hit from our Tradisha Woodard, who's right there in just a little bit. Also wanted to point out that's Waxhaw. You can only see a bit of the frame there, but off to the sides, we've got people all over that intersection that are protesting. And then, of course, we're live in Fort Mill as well. There will be protests in South Carolina. In total, we've got 20 across our region at least, but know that this is a national situation. I'm going to pull up so you can see multiple things happening in other areas. This is a look right now live. You can see what's going on this is Atlanta. We've also got, this is D.C. right now. It's a bit of a far shot away, but you can see how many people are lined up across the water there in front of the monument. And so we're going to be following things from not just our area, but protests across the country as well. I mean, there are thousands across the country. This is a nationwide movement. As I said, the third round of these protests. But as I said, I want to begin with Tradisha. She's live in First Ward Park. The main protest, I think, in the middle of uptown Charlotte. Tradisha, what have you heard so far?
Well, right now they are singing, Julie. You can hear them saying no kings, no ICE, people coming together shoulder to shoulder, basically expressing their concerns about things like immigration, stretching over to the conflict that's happening overseas. I'm going to take a step out of the camera so Phil can pan over. This park is filling up really, really fast, totally different from where they looked like just 15 minutes ago. People coming together once again, expressing what's weighing down heavily on their heart, the lack of accountability from the current administration, immigration enforcement by ICE, tariffs. They say the list goes on, and all of that is causing them to question leadership decisions and the system that's put in place to protect them. Of course, a lot of folks preparing to flood the streets of Uptown. They say they're hoping that this will not only encourage folks to see the cause and join the cause, but also encourage folks to get out and vote. They say that's what it's all about if they want to see change. So, of course, people are planning to take the streets of Uptown in, less than an hour here. We'll be sure to stick around and bring you the latest.
All right, Tradisha, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We will check back in with you later. Good luck out there. I know that's a very busy scene. We also want to continue on with our coverage. We're going to get next to our Walker Lawson. He is live in Waxhaw, and this is really another sign of kind of the movement here. Walker, what are you hearing from people in Waxhaw?
Yeah, so the Waxhaw No Kings protest actually just wrapped up a few moments ago before we came on air, so people have actually cleared out very quickly, but we had hundreds of people here. I came out and covered the last No Kings protest here. This one seemingly was bigger than the last one, but the biggest thing was asking people what they specifically were protesting, and it's, of course, an array of things. Some of them saying that it is the conflict overseas, some of them saying that they're still concerned about democracy just as a whole and what they've seen unfold over the last couple of almost a year now or so. But what was really interesting is there was one woman that I just spoke to a moment ago who was out here with Ukraine flags, and she said that she feels as if people are forgetting about what's happening in Ukraine, and because there are so many other things happening and people are just inundated with information that's occurring. So she said she wanted to be out here to again show her support for Ukraine, but it was also very interesting too because I asked her about the government shutdown and her thoughts on that, and she said again, you're kind of getting people with different opinions on certain things. She said that she doesn't believe that ICE should be dismantled, but that they should have their funding looked at. So just different perspectives from people here in downtown Waxhaw. But again, I would say there was more people out here this time around protesting than last time.
Well, I guess it's
All right, Walker, I know that this is a hectic day, so good luck out there. We appreciate you doing a live hit for us. And again, I mentioned we've got 20 of these happening at least in our area, all the way down to South Carolina, up in the mountains. This is a live look at Monroe. That's where Walker's actually going to head in a little bit now that the one in Waxhaw has wrapped up. So we're going to continue on. James, where would you like to head next?
Let's go back out to Charlotte and just listen into the crowd here for a moment, Julie, if we can.
Okay, this is First Ward Park in Uptown, where we just heard from Tradisha.
Did you know there are more than 3,200 solidarity. That's how we defeat fascism. And if anyone asks why this moment matters, here's why. Since the last No Kings rally in October, just since October, ICE has terrorized our city. ICE has torn families apart. 46 people have died in ICE detention. 2 U.S. citizens were shot in the street by the ICE. So say it with me. No ICE! No ICE! No ICE! No ICE! No ICE! No ICE! And now, this administration has taken us into war. A war that Congress did not authorize. A war paid for by our lives, with our dollars, and with the future that we should be building here at home. Say it with me. No war! No war! No war! No war!
I'm going to get closer.
And as this authoritarian regime shreds democracy, feeds corruption, and grabs for more power, we say America has no kings! No kings! Power belongs to the people!
You can hear there they are referencing the protests over Border Patrol being in Charlotte, Operation Charlotte's Web just months ago. This was after the last round of No Kings protests in October, but of course the ripple effects still existing here in Charlotte and the surrounding areas. And then we also wanted to point out that we brought up Fort Mill. You can see there that those are the protesters there at the No Kings protest in Fort Mill. And then we've got Atlanta as well.
Julie, I've just taken our shot in Fort Mill full here. This is, of course, in South Carolina. This is Highway 160, and our crew will be here for the next hour or so before making their way over to Rock Hill. So we're going to be moving about different communities today on this special edition of Live Impact News.
Yeah, and as we said, there's a lot going on here. Thousands across the country, 20 just in our area. We're going to take a quick break, but know that we have got, as I said, a lot to get to over the next few hours here as we continue to cover these protests, and our reporters will be moving around the area just to talk to people and see why they decided to come out in protest for this third round. I thought it was particularly interesting hearing Walker say he covered this the last time, and this time has been even bigger, at least in Waxhaw. So things that we're continuing to follow. Stick with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes with more Live Impact News. Welcome back to Live Impact News, a special edition as we cover the multiple No Kings protests in our area happening right now. We've brought you multiple so far from Uptown, from Waxhaw, and later in Monroe. But we want to head to South Carolina now. That's where we find WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane. You're in Fort Mill right now, Richard. I can hear the audio. It's quite loud. What are you hearing there from people? Clearly, it sounds very spirited.
Absolutely, Julie. Good morning to you. Good Saturday morning, everyone. Yeah, I'm in Fort Mill, and we're going to just step out of the way and let you get a feel of what we're seeing. We're at the corners of this is Gold Hill and on 160. You can see how many people are out here. You hear the horns blowing as people pass by. We've been speaking to folks all morning. Happy to be here. Happy to be a part of this, and excited. Said they're going to be here throughout this whole event. You can see occasionally as cars drive by, you'll hear them blowing in appreciation. Actually stopped a couple drivers a few minutes ago right off camera. They were blowing their horns, just pretty much laying on their horns. And out of the car, folks on all four corners, and you can see, of course, the signs saying save our democracy, things of that nature, American flags. Hello, good afternoon. You're here today. I won't stop you from waving, but tell us, how does it feel to see all of this?
It feels wonderful. As many people as we could get out here.
And that's the question. What does being out here mean for you personally?
I do not like the Republican Party, so I decided I was going to come, do my little part.
Your little part. And
Yeah.
to see all these folks, what does that mean for you?
I think it's wonderful. I'm glad the people took time out of their day to come and do this. Here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we got some folks over here. We're going to shoot this way just because it's easier. Hi, you guys are standing here. We've got mom and daughter, I'm assuming, correct?
Yes,
and you
sir,
are?
Yes, sir. My name is Melissa Group.
Melissa and?
Mia Group.
Mia. We're going to start with Mia. Mia, why are you out here?
To protest and make a better democracy.
And your sign, this is a together sign, I guess.
Sir.
Explain your together sign, Mia.
So it's supposed to be about, we get to make a statement and they just silence us, and they don't get to do that. We have the right.
You have the right to do that. Mom, Melissa, just what does it mean for you to have your little one out here today? And how important is it for you?
Well, I have 3 girls, and so it is so important to build a better future for them. We are here to be the light, not to squash it out, and so it means everything to have my daughter with me.
Now, I'm looking at your signs. Who put it together? Whose idea was this? Tell me. This is your idea? Tell me about it. How'd you come up with this idea?
I just looked up some ideas and I just put it together.
How does it feel to be her mom?
I am so incredibly proud, and she has her own voice. She's here because she wants to. She knows it's the right thing. It just means everything that I'm raising her to be the light, to be a future for all of us.
And so many people out here, some blowing their horns, so many other folks just standing out, lining. Oh, how does that make you feel to see so many folks?
It's incredible. I feel like this is our hometown and we're taking it back.
And you guys are from Fort Mill area?
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Right down the road they live. And as Ruben continues to shoot, you can see across the street, this wraps around the block in front of the Walgreens. If you're familiar with this area, this is the corner where there's the Walgreens and the Wells Fargo gas station, also Bojangles for those chicken eaters like myself. And you can hear it. We've been hearing the noise of the horns all day, people waving. One of the more humorous moments is when I saw the 2 stuffed folks. I don't even know what to describe them as. One looked like a pig, I think, and then another one hugging in the middle of the street as they met each other, because I guess they go out to the different protests. And some of the folks said that they're actually going to be going from protest to protest throughout the day because they say this is so important. We've seen a lot of folks out here, Julie. This is just part of, we fed back a lot of video and a lot of interviews with folks because everyone is out here talking about how important today is and getting that message across. And of course, the ultimate goal of building unity, building connectivity to build advocacy against what they say are programs, laws, and things that are going on that they disagree with. Just we'll take another look across the street. As you can see, just visually, there are a lot of folks here. This is supposed to be the largest throughout of the three so far, and if this is any indication, because in the past at Fort Mill, it hadn't been this many people at this particular location, so maybe that will be the case.
Richard, thank you for going over there and talking to people live in the moment to get those just really authentic interviews with people as they hear all these honks, as they hold up their signs. We'll come back out to you in a bit, but thank you so much, and good luck out there.
Absolutely. Talk to you soon.
All right, we're going to continue on. I believe we have something going on in New York right now. As I mentioned, this is something that's a nationwide effort. No matter where you are in the country, you're probably close to a No Kings protest. And as I said earlier, Walker has covered this before, Richard has covered this before. They're both now saying that these seem bigger than the last one in October, especially in the Charlotte region where we've been impacted by Border Patrol operations and directly impacted by, I was just covering TSA the other day and those wait times. So we're going to continue to cover our region as well, but getting to this live out of New York as well, and we will put some of those local protest inboxes so you can keep an eye on those as well.
He's someone who has been one of the most fiercest defenders of every single New Yorker who calls this great state home. One who continues to fight day in and day out for all of our rights. Join me in welcoming up to the mic New York State Attorney General Letitia James.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Wow. We are a nation built on the rule of law, on checks and balances, and on the fundamental idea that power belongs to the people. Not to one person, not to one party, and not to those who believe that they are above the law. But right now, those principles are being tested. Our institutions are being tested. Congress, unfortunately, has been co-opted. And our courts, unfortunately, some of them have been co-opted as well. But the defense of our democracy does not lie in the courts. The defense of our democracy lies in the hands of the people. And across this country, we are seeing efforts to concentrate power, to undermine democratic institutions, to intimidate those who dare to stand up and speak out. The weaponization of government, vindictive petty politics. We're seeing attacks on our immigrant brothers and sisters, attacks on workers, attacks on voting rights, and attacks on the very freedoms that generations before us fought to secure. As the Attorney General of New York, my job is to defend the Constitution, to protect the people of the state from harm, and to hold the powerful accountable, no matter who they are. And I will not capitulate, and I will not genuflect, and I will not bow, and I will not break, and I will not bend. What flows through my DNA, my blood, is the ancestors of those who have been through a lot worse. And so let me be clear. The law matters in this country, and we have challenged illegal federal actions in court. And we, Democratic attorneys general, have stood up to those who think that they can use fear and division to control our communities. But we are winning, and I guess that's why I'm a target. And we will continue to fight because no one is above the law. Reverence for the law and due process is foundational to our democracy. But defending democracy, my friends, is not the job of one leader or one Hollywood star. It is the responsibility that we all share. It belongs to the workers organizing in their unions, to the advocates protecting civil liberties, to the young people marching in the streets, and to every American who refuses to accept a future where power goes unchecked.
All right, you were just listening into New York there, but we want to get back out to Charlotte. We've actually had a chance to get closer to the podium here, so hopefully you'll be able to hear okay. This is live in Uptown at the No Kings protest in First Ward Park. Take a listen in. All right, we're having some trouble with the audio here, actually. It looks like we just lost the feed. So while we work on that, we're going to get back to New York real quick, and then we will continue to jump around our local protests as well.
My family, every individual who rejects authoritarianism, every individual who rejects masked individuals asking the simple question, where are your papers? Do you have papers? Every individual who rejects the intimidation and fear tactics. So today I march. I march with individuals whose names I do not know, but individuals who are a crowd of witness to all that we are seeing in our country and who simply want our country back and who want to return to normalcy. I've seen nothing but a band of warriors out here today and all across this nation. Individuals standing up for freedom, for liberty, for their democracy. And so I stand with them, each of them, arm in arm, shoulder to shoulder, with no space between us, indivisible, with justice for all.
All right, looks like that audio from Uptown Charlotte is back. Let's take a listen in now, and hopefully it stays with us.
The active way today is getting people to believe great replacement theory. And can I tell y'all a quick story? Yeah. So, in 1767, I'm an historian, I'm sorry, I gotta go back in time. In 1767, there was this French Enlightenment philosopher. His name was Joseph Michel Antoine Servan. He was speaking to the French king. He called on the French king to institute a more effective system of control than iron and steel and torture. He said, a fool despot can constrain slaves with chains, but a true politician binds them much more strongly by the chain of their own ideas. Did y'all hear that? Yes. You want me to say that again? Yes. A full despot can constrain slaves with iron chains, but a true politician binds them much more strongly by the chain of their own ideas. And so in 2026, those ideas that these true politicians are using to bind us are our racist ideas, are our sexist ideas, are our transphobic ideas, are our ableist ideas, are our homophobic ideas, are our classist ideas, our anti-Semitic ideas, our Islamophobic ideas, our xenophobic ideas. And this is the quote that I got the title for my book, Chain of Ideas. Because despair and time eat away at the links of iron and steel, Servan added. But it can do nothing against the habitual union of ideas, and on the soft fibers of the brain is found the unalterable basis for the firmest empires. And so, black folks, we call this mental slavery. The chain of ideas in the United States today, providing the unalterable basis for the empire of Trumpism, is great replacement theory. Going again back to France, this racist theory was named by a French novelist named Renaud Camus in a political speech he gave in 2010 and published a year later. He told this story of being in a town in southern France and noticing Muslims of North African descent nearly exclusively at the windows and thresholds, he said, of these very old houses and the lengths of old streets. During Camus' visit, immigrants from Africa were no more than 4% of this town's population. And yet, those facts did not square with Camus' story. Just as today, 86% of Americans were born in the United States. But you would never know that if we were looking at the news and listening to these politicians. You would never know that 91% of people who live right now in the European Union were born in the European Union. But you would never know that if you were listening to a Le Pen in France, or Wilders in the Netherlands, or Farage in the UK, all of whom are closely allied with Donald Trump. So this guy Camus claimed, based on 4% of people being in this southern town, that during our lifetime, and even less, he wrote, France was in the process of changing a people. We see one, he wrote, we take a nap, and then there's another, or many others. Most of the newcomers who were coming to southern France at the time were white migrants coming from Spain, Portugal, Denmark, the UK, Ireland, and the Netherlands. But Camus did not lament their presence in these very old houses. He did not lament their presence on those very old streets. He did not have a problem with them practicing a different culture, speaking a different language. Because to Camus, these white immigrants did not signify that the country was changing. Because to him, just as in the United States, Trump welcomes white South African migrants. Yes. They belong, apparently, in the United States, while African Americans apparently don't. While apparently Latino immigrants don't. Or Palestinian Americans don't. Do you remember when Trump said those 4 congresswomen of color, 3 of whom were born in the United States, can go back to their corrupt and crime-riddled country? Do you remember when he said that? All the while, he is the son of 2 immigrants. For those of you who may not know, his mother immigrated from Scotland in 1930, and his father was in his mother's womb when she migrated from Germany in 1905.
His father was a draft dodger.
So Trump wants white Americans to believe that they are being replaced by peoples of color so that the king can dominate them and the rest of us in the name of security. So the king can demand their obedience in the name of security. So the king and his oligarchs can exploit everyday white people and the rest of us and cause them to think that they're losing out because of black people, because of Muslims, because of immigrants, which then allows the oligarchs to continue to exploit them because they're completely distracted. Pushing this great replacement theory that has spread around the United States and frankly around the world, it is animating the Trump administration's politics. And Camus, I want you to listen what Camus said in 2011 and think about how this directly connects to the ideas of this administration. He said in 2011 that a nation of many peoples, of many religions, of many cultures is bound to be a hellish society. He commended old French kings for putting all their care and sometimes their brutality in avoiding the hell of diversity. The kings, according to Camus, knew by their instinct that nothing would come for it. Nothing could come for diversity, but misfortune for individuals and weakness from the state. Because, Camus argued, peoples that remain peoples cannot join other peoples. He said they can only conquer them overcome them, or replace them. But I came to tell you, Charlotte, and I'm wrapping up, that there's another way for us to think about humanity. There's another way for us to think about our politics. We don't have to think, we don't have to be misled into believing that racial and ethnic and religious and cultural groups are fundamentally separate, that they're fundamentally at political war, and that that other group is coming to destroy us. There's a way to break from this chain of ideas. That's great replacement theory. And that is, we must recognize once and for all what I call the chain of humanity. We must recognize once and for all the chain of humanity. And we can liberate ourselves from the ideas that fetter us by recognizing what binds us as human beings. There are different links in this chain of humanity. There are different skin colors, different cultures, different genders, different nationalities, different sexualities, different levels of ability. But all these links are interconnected to form the human chain that stretches across states, across borders, across oceans, across mountain ranges, and across deserts. What strikes one link ultimately strikes every link. What strengthens one link ultimately strengthens the entire human chain. Only through recognizing the chain of humanity can we finally join together and defeat the oligarchs and authoritarians who have relentlessly and consistently divided and conquered us. Only through recognizing our chain of humanity can we build an anti-racist democracy out of the ashes of Trumpism. Are y'all ready to create those ashes? Are y'all ready to create those ashes? Are y'all ready to create those ashes? Thank you so much.
All right, as he is wrapping up there, we're going to take another quick break, but know that we are going to come back out to those speeches in Uptown as well as that video from Fort Mill, and we have a crew that will soon be on their way to Monroe as well. Just a couple of the more than 20 protests in our area. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Live Impact News. Just past 30 minutes of our No Kings coverage. We want to get back to Uptown Charlotte, the No Kings protest there. I believe they're about to start marching. We're going to stick with them for a bit as we have a speaker at the microphone, but we're also going to follow along as they begin their march through Uptown. So stick with us here.
A long time coming, but I know a change gon' come. Oh, yes it will. And I say, brother, help me please. But he winds up knocking me down, knocking me back down on my knees. Oh, there have been times when I thought I couldn't last for long. But now, because of you and you and you and you and you, I think I can carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gon' come. It's been a long time coming. United we stand, divided we fall. One who stands for nothing will fall for anything. We must rise up. We must rise up and stand up and hear the cries and the hurt of our fellow man. For we are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, lots going on there in Charlotte. I believe our crew there is getting in position to march with them. That is what's happening right now. The crowd is getting ready to go through Uptown Charlotte. We're also on deck waiting for Richard in Fort Mill. He's going to be live for us there before he heads to Rock Hill for the next one. So stick with us for the next 2 minutes or so while we wait for that. Now, though, we're going to head to, I believe we're in Atlanta next, James, where Senator Warnock just spoke.
Free is a victim of identity theft. So when you see me stand up, know that I stand under our laws and in my faith. And I refuse to give in. Because this idea of having a human king, of arrogating to a human being the things that do not belong to human beings that belong to God, is for me a spiritual project when I affirm the dignity of all human beings. That is the work that all of us are called to do. We the people, it's a radical idea. Are you ready to stand up for our democracy?
There from Senator Rapp.
All right, so that's the coverage there in Atlanta. I believe now we're going to head back out to Fort Mill. That is where we find Richard Devane. He's been there for us all morning talking to people live in the streets. It's a really, really spirited crowd there as you hear the honking in the back. Richard, what have you learned in the last 30 minutes or so since we last saw you?
Yeah, that the folks here are really energized, really peaceful, really happy, and they all say the same thing. They're happy to be here and that it's important for them to be here. We'll take a look over here. Actually, I'm going to bring you to me. I'm going to bring you to me right now. Come on over here. Just so tell us where you're from and tell us who you are.
I'm actually from Charlotte, North Carolina. My name is Michelle.
Michelle, why come to Fort Mill for this?
Actually, it's a good group of people here, and my friends are here as well. And we're here exercising our right of freedom of speech, of a peaceful protest. We're unhappy with the current administration, and we believe in freedoms, and we're here to make sure that our voice is heard.
And every time as it's loud, because you can hear the honking, how does that make you feel?
Actually, it feels wonderful. It really does. It reinforces what I believe in right now, and that we're on the right track, making things a big change right now.
And it's so important to hold that flag up, this flag that you have, because yeah, earlier you said you don't want to hit me with it. Lady Liberty hit me in the head. That's okay. That's okay.
Right. I was trying not to.
No, you were fine. I'm just saying you're going to hold it up. You're from Charlotte, you said. Are you going to go to any more of these protests?
Yes, we're probably going to go to the next one in Charlotte. Yes, we're going to try and make a round today, making a couple more.
Making a couple more.
It's a time for our voice to be heard right now. We're tired of what's happening, and it's time for our voice to be heard.
Now, with you being out here, what do you think that does for folks who you would say you want to gain their support or them to join you? What does being out here do?
Well, I think a lot of times in the current administration, they maybe tried to silence us and not allowed to have a free voice of how we feel about certain things. And I think with all of us out here and making everybody understand that we do have the freedoms and we are allowed to say whatever we like to say. It's part of our constitutional right, and I still believe in the Constitution.
Okay, well, thank you so much. We might see you in Charlotte also.
Okay.
I know you keep coming up and talking to us. Come on over here. And she's saying no. She said no, but she's been talking to us all day.
I've been asking you.
You've been asking us when we're on.
Yeah.
Yes, when CNC's on. You know, we're not only on TV, we're on stream. You know, we're on your mobile app. We're every place.
Okay.
Why are you here? Tell us who you are, first of all, and where you're from.
I'm third generation American, and this is my first protest, and I felt that I needed to be here today.
Third generation American from where?
Puerto Rico. My mother was Puerto Rican, and so.
Boricua. Yes, you, mommy.
Yes.
Okay. So you said it's important for you to be here. Why?
It's wrong. What's going on? Women are losing their votes, and there's a lot of women that are pro-Trump and don't see that, but they'll see it the next election. And it's just wrong what ICE is doing. Americans, they're even taking Americans. I'm walking around with my passport. There's something really seriously wrong with having to walk around with your passport because of what's going on. I don't feel safe.
Do you see people with their flags driving by actually? What does it mean for you when you see other folks out here who agree with you? What does that do for you?
It gives me hope in humanity. It really did. It teared me up earlier, and I'm just glad that I did it. I'm glad I came out.
Okay, well,
and I'll come out again.
And you come out again, she said. Just some of the folks who are out here, thank you so very much. Thank you. And you can hear from both of them telling stories. And this young lady from Puerto Rico telling that she actually has to carry her passport around. Just a myriad of different reasons for folks. If you ask each of them individually, the reasons they hear. Some are coming with friends. Some are coming because of policies against elderly. Some are coming because of LGBT rights policies. People are saying that they're frustrated. That's the overwhelming reason that we're hearing from folks. As you look at how many folks are out here just on each of these four corners, you can see folks. And as people come by, and occasionally we have heard people who are in opposition to this protest come by. Some people not very pleasant as they drive by and say things, but overwhelming what we're hearing today is the people waving or blowing their horns, trying to understand. Even across the street you see so many American flags, so many other flags. We haven't seen, and we have to be very careful about our shooting, and when we talk to people, making sure that we don't hear the wrong thing or something that shouldn't be on TV. And we can say that for the most part, folks in this area have been very peaceful. The signs have just been signs of protest, not as degrading as we've seen elsewhere. So we're very happy about that. This is the scene right here in Fort Mill, and this protest will go on for at least another, let me see what time it is. I don't even lost track of time, guys. 12:48, almost 1 o'clock. So we've got another hour of time before this one ends. But as you heard from one person, Michelle, she said that she's actually going to to the one in Charlotte, and we've seen that some people going to their first, some people have been to all of the protests, the No King's Day protests, and some of the people who are here today may be going to other protests around the area. This is just a sign of what this is, I guess, as some people say, this is what democracy looks like, and the folks here are saying that this is what democracy looks like, the opportunity to peacefully assemble and peacefully protest, trying to make a change. And we're now looking at some of the other folks. So there's somebody, as you see, we're actually watching folks here in their car videotaping this. We stepped down the street early, I did, and but I got to be careful because you don't want to be obstruct traffic or anything, because the folks here, another thing we should talk about, they've been trained on what to do, how to stand in an area, not to obstruct traffic, not to get into it with someone. As you see, there's that car that was driving by. Folks are picking up on that, and just having a day, enjoying themselves, also protesting. And the goal, they say, is connectivity. Everybody getting together and fighting for advocacy, fighting for change, as they say. That's the scene right here, Julie, in Fort Mill. This is Richard Vane. We'll send it back to you.
Thank you so much, Richard, for being live out there for us again and talking to people on the ground and pointing out, that there's also opposition happening. But of course, things are very peaceful there in Fort Mill. We'll check back in with you later. We're going to take a quick break, but stick with us. We'll be right back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Live Impact News. We're waiting here in just a moment to get another live shot from our Uptown camera. They have begun to move. That crowd is now beginning to march through Uptown, and Tradisha will be with us in a moment. But for now, we're going to head back to Atlanta, dip into their coverage here of what the No Kings protest looks like in Georgia.
People were killed at the hands of ICE, and so they are worried that some of that same trouble and violence could come here to Atlanta. They say this really isn't that far away. They feel this really in their homes, and these are kitchen table topics that people repeatedly have brought up as discussing with their friends and their families. You talk about affordability as well. You may have heard that throughout this streaming broadcast here, but folks see the price of gas every day. They see less money possibly in their pockets. They see their buying power being constricted, and so their goal was to rally today. But this goes far beyond today. A lot of those protesters we spoke with said they hope that this message permeates not only through those urban areas but suburbs as well, and really gets people into action. What does that action look like? It looks like participating with those grassroots organizations, some of whom spoke here today. It's getting to the polls, getting registered to vote. It is calling their local Congress people and demanding what they request and what they desire. And so from here, from our vantage point, we have seen the protesters literally come full circle. You saw that shot earlier down Memorial Drive. I will
All right, as that shot has frozen, I want to come back and just talk real quick about the fact that we have not heard much directly from the Trump administration, of course, in response to this. So still waiting to hopefully hear more from President Trump, but we did get this statement from Abigail Jackson, White House spokesperson. She says the only people who care about these Trump derangement therapy sessions are the reporters who are paid to cover them. That is, at this point, the only quote, the only response that we have gotten from anyone related to the White House on these protests. So will be interesting to see if we get more of a statement or any interviews with President Donald Trump later today. In the meantime, we're going to get back out to Tradisha. She is live in Uptown for us, where I know they have begun to start moving and marching through Uptown. Tradisha, what's the latest there?
That's right, Julie. They went through some speeches. I know we kind of listened into some of those speeches. We had some speakers that talked about change. We heard some chant. If you can still hear them chanting and singing behind me, the walkers have started to hit the streets of Uptown. Right now, I'm actually standing next to Willie Johnson. This is not his first demonstration he's participated in. He's from the Charlotte area. One of many folks prepared to walk the streets of Uptown today. So talk to us a little bit about why it's so important for you to be out here today.
Well, because I feel that our freedoms are eroding under this administration, and I want to stand up for my kids, my grandchildren, and for those that cannot stand up for themselves.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, what are some things specifically that you want to see change?
Well, number one, I would like to see this regime, I'd like to see them all imprisoned. They failed the people. They've done nothing but lie to us from the beginning. And they're eroding our democracy. They're eroding everything that's good about this country. And all we hear from them is lies, lies, and more lies. And we're tired of it.
And Mr. Johnson is just one of very many people here today calling for change when it comes to immigration, ICE raids, tariffs, the things that we're seeing happen within TSA. So right now, folks are hitting the streets with heavy hearts. Of course, we're going to hit the streets as well and continue to bring you guys the latest coverage. As for now, back to you.
All right, Tradisha, thank you very much. We'll come back out to you in a little bit. I know, though, what's really interesting, too, is she mentioned TSA lines. We've got some really timely things that people are bringing up. So in comparison to those ones that we covered in October and the one prior to that, we're hearing some of the same themes of tariffs, prices, immigration, but it now has a different spin on it. We've got this TSA, this DHS funding debacle that's still continuing into this weekend, as well as impacts that we're seeing at even the Charlotte airport, definitely the Atlanta airport for those who drive down that way. We also are now post Operation Charlotte's Web here in the area, and so that is really impacting what we're hearing from people on the streets as well. We're going to get back out to Waxhaw in just a little bit. First, we're taking a quick break, but know that we've got a live shot coming up from Walker Lawson in just about 2 minutes. Welcome back to this live edition of Live Impact News. Special edition, we are covering the No Kings protests across our region, more than 20 in our area, but we're focusing on some close to home. So take a look at this. These are our live shots. As they're happening, we've got Uptown Charlotte on the left as they are beginning to march the streets of Uptown. In the middle there, we've got Waxhaw. That's where we're going to head in just a moment. That protest actually just wrapped up, and then Walker Lawson, who's there, will head to another one in Monroe. And then over there, that's Fort Mill. If you've been with us, you've seen Richard Devane out there time and time again for us, speaking with people live on the scene as these protests are underway. But as I mentioned, we want to get back out to Walker here in just a moment. What's really interesting too that he mentioned is that he covered this last time and he's seeing more people than before. And I know, Walker, that things have wrapped up at this point, but what did you learn as you were out there speaking with people?
Yeah, so what we did learn is really just people wanting to come out and again voice their concerns. One woman that we spoke to said, you know, if I stay silent, my grandkids, you know, will get to know that at least I came out here and protested and that I at least came out and voiced my opinion. We also heard from another woman that said that she ended up writing letters to every single sitting Republican congressperson in the state of North Carolina, just saying, you know, we want action, we want to see people fighting and, you know, representing us that are sitting in these seats. But again, an array of different reasons why they're out here. Of course, the conflict that's happened in overseas that we're seeing, as well as concerns about gas prices, with the economy. As I'd mentioned in the last hit, a woman that was here speaking with us about being passionate about speaking out against Ukraine because she feels like it's beginning to become overshadowed by all of the other conflicts that have been happening, and as well as all of the other concerns that are happening, even concerns about AI and technology, and just wanting to see the government kind of move forward and address things like this as it's starting to become a very, you know, daily task that we use, seeing AI and things. So just an array of things, and just wanting to make sure that people know they're out here as proud American citizens that are using their right to protest. So again, as we mentioned, to me it looked like we had a larger crowd than last time. I haven't spoken to the officials on what their numbers are, but there were more people stretched out a little bit further than last time. So that was my takeaway. Again, this protest wrapped up right at around noon, and we will be headed over to Monroe for the next protest that's scheduled to start at 2.
Yeah, and I know that we're still waiting for those official numbers. We might not get those today even, but just anecdotally from other people too, we're hearing that the crowds seem a lot larger. So it will be interesting to get those official numbers. Walker, thank you. We'll see you next in Monroe. We're going to head now actually back to Uptown. We just had that live shot for you a moment ago, and now we have a live look at the protesters beginning their march through Uptown. Tradisha, I know that you're off the camera right now as we get these live images that really speak for themselves, but tell me what you're seeing and what it's like to be there.
Well, I will tell you, Julie, right after the speakers wrapped up, we were kind of stuck in the middle of the crowd. It is a lot of people here today, a lot of people that were in that crowd, and the walk is just now starting to ramp up. You get sections of people that are doing the chants and some of the songs that they learned, and then you see some people who are holding up signs. I will tell you another thing. People have gotten really, really creative on the things they chose to wear today, some of their signage, but obviously the big topic, the big message, no kings, no silence. A lot of folks expressing their concerns. Once again, immigration enforcement, the things that are happening overseas, tariffs, TSA, it's the list goes on and on. Folks say they want to see change. So right now they are lining up, walking down the streets of Uptown. I'm not sure if you guys can hear, but we have some more chanters that are coming through. They said, no hate, no hope, Donald Trump has got to go. That's the chant that we're hearing right now. Once again, it's coming in waves. People are kind of chanting. They have their dogs out here. They have their friends out here. A lot of folks dressed up. I've seen some crazy costumes. But once again, the message is very loud and clear, regardless to what their stance is or what they're wanting to see change. They say no kings, and they're not staying silent, encouraging folks to come out, join the cause, and of course, make their voices heard and vote. So, of course, as this continues to go on, we'll be sure to bring you guys the latest live here from Uptown.
All right, Tradisha, thank you. And we appreciate you being out there for us in the middle of this protest. I also just want to hold on this shot for a second, if we are able to, just to show As she mentioned, I mean, we've got some costumes going on, lots of signs. Of course, it's called, as she said, No Kings. That is the overall message. But what's interesting to me is that we're seeing so many different reasons behind it, so many things that are so timely. We've talked about, as I said, the Department of Homeland Security funding and the impacts on TSA lines being the most timely, maybe. The funding for ICE, that is a part of that discussion that is still ongoing at the Capitol into this weekend, that is still unresolved as we continue this partial government shutdown. But you're also seeing signs, I mean, even there, about international conflicts, foreign policy, about Israel, about Ukraine. And so definitely a lot of, as she mentioned, creative costumes, but different messages as well in terms of why people decided to come out. I want to get back out, though, to, of course, the statement that we have. This is the only statement we have from anyone related to the White House. We have not heard directly from President Trump in response to these No Kings protests across the country today. But I'm going to read this for you. This is from Abigail Jackson. She is a White House spokeswoman. She says, quote, "The only people who care about these Trump derangement therapy sessions are the reporters who are paid to cover them." That is a direct quote from Abigail Jackson, from someone within the White House. But I'm still, of course, curious to see if we're going to hear directly from President Donald Trump today. The next time reporters get to see him may be Monday, but we'll still be checking back in, of course, with Truth Social, and if we get any more live feeds out of D.C. where there's a chance we could hear from President Trump, we will bring you those updates as well if we get any more response or information from the Capitol. We're going to take another quick break, but know that we've got crews all over. Of course, Radisha's still there in Uptown. Walker's now on his way to Monroe, and Richard will soon be heading closer to Rock Hill. So there's a lot going on in our region, in both the Carolinas, so stick with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Live Impact News here on this Saturday. I'm Julie Kay. We're continuing our No Kings protest coverage across our region. This is a live look from Uptown. Once again, that's where we just spoke with Radisha as we are just watching these people march through. I mean, they haven't moved too much. This is the same spot, and it is still a wide crowd with some very creative signs we're definitely seeing. But again, we're seeing a lot of different reasons on these signs that people decided to come out and protest against President Donald Trump and his administration. You're seeing their stand with immigrants. That as being one of the most common things we're hearing as a common denominator for why people decided to come out today. Also want to show you a live look at Fort Mill in South Carolina to show you that these are happening across the country in both Carolinas. Richard Devaine's been out there for us all morning. He's soon going to head to Rock Hill where there will be another one. But yeah, you can see there quite a few people. I mean, this is only just one shot, but they are going in either direction on all sides of that intersection. So it's also quite a busy protest. As I mentioned, though, immigration being one of the biggest reasons people have decided to come out, it seems like, just anecdotally from speaking with some of the people in the crowds there. So we want to get out to our news partners at KARE 11 in Minneapolis, where that discussion has really been at the forefront. Let's take a listen in.
The Metro surge and sort of what we saw from really like constitutional concerns when you had American citizens being taken out of their home, sometimes in mistake, right? We know of many cases where there were folks that were taken out. They were legal citizens. They had ID. They were not allowed or even asked for their ID. Even as a Republican, I watched that with concern, and I always say, if it was a president from the other side or an administration from the other side doing that, how would I feel? And I should apply it the same, especially when it comes to our constitutional rights. And so I think that there are things that both sides could agree on that could be worked on. The problem is with anything, everything becomes so political. These days, it doesn't matter, big issues, small issues, everything becomes political. And unfortunately, it becomes, difficult for both sides to work on anything where there actually might be some agreement. And I think in this case, there actually could be some agreement.
Well, and you have been critical of Operation Metro Surge. If I'm not mistaken, you have said that, former Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem should face some accountability, some repercussions. We've seen her then being let go from that role. Do you think that Minnesotans speaking out and acting in the way that they did throughout that operation, that immigration operation here in Minnesota, had any sort of influence on some of that decision making that was taking place within the federal government and the White House?
Absolutely, it did. And I think as Republicans, and although it can be harder to speak out against your own party, and we see that on both sides, it's even more important for us to speak out. And I think yes, of course, it was the folks in the streets and it was the actions that they were taking that drew attention and moved things along. But there were also some very vocal elected Republicans that spoke up and were really important to adding their voices to that. So I think when you see something that isn't right, if you see something that you believe to be unconstitutional, it doesn't matter who's in charge. That's the whole great thing about being American. We speak up. Now, do I also think that there was hyperbolic rhetoric on the other side? Yes, I think it can be both, right? And do I think that there's a place for ICE and the job that they do around immigration? I absolutely do. And so, and there are folks from the other side that can't acknowledge those things. And I just think that, I think the removal of the Secretary of DHS was important, but it was one piece of it, right? And I said I really miss Apprentice Trump, because when you used to mess up in your job, you were fired. And in this case, that finally did happen, but it took too long, and that operation was nothing short of a disaster. It was dangerous, it was deadly, and it was a disaster. And so the right thing finally happened, and I would just. There again, I have to give some credit to this administration for recognizing that and making that decision.
Well, speaking of President Trump, he has previously called these demonstrations a joke. He said the people in attendance do not represent our country. What do you make of that assessment?
Well, of course, both sides, right, want to kind of ignore when there's some sort of large movement. I think back to the Tea Party, right? And Democrats were very dismissive of the Tea Party, which was, especially in the first few years, very organic protests to what was going on in the government, and taxed enough already was what T stood for. I think it is unwise to be completely dismissive. I also think that when you look at the rallies from last year around No Kings to this year, you're seeing a growing energy, and there's a momentum there. And so again, something to be recognized, something to be acknowledged. It is as a person who has organized political events before, it's really hard to get a couple thousand people out to do something on a Saturday, much less tens of thousands. And so I never think it's helpful to downplay. I think that this is America. We all believe in our absolute fundamental right to protest. And I think that, you don't have to calibrate all your decisions on protest, right? You have to be a leader and you have to make decisions that are important for all Americans or all Minnesotans. But I think that at this moment, and especially as we go into the interim election cycle, this kind of energy, should it be sustained, is going to bode well for the party not in power, which are the Democrats.
All right, you were just listening into coverage from KARE 11 in Minneapolis. They are following a protest, a No Kings protest in St. Paul right now. Of course, that whole region in Minnesota really been the center of discussion for immigration enforcement, particularly with what ICE agents are and are not allowed to do. We're going to continue, though, to follow protests happening in our area. This is a look outside of Uptown. Tradisha, I know you're there right now and that it's very chaotic right now as we just had a train go through. What's going on right now as we're looking at the back of this parade here?
Yeah, so you are looking at the back of the parade. The flashing lights you can see is basically the end. People have already started stretching across Uptown, like we talked about. Obviously, lots of different calls for change from different people. We've broken down lots of that throughout our entire time being here. And of course, we talked about some of the creative signage, some of the creative costumes a lot of folks have. Actually, one of the costumes that I want to show you guys that really stood out to me is from Miss Shayna. Phil is going to give you guys a nice look at this costume here. I just wanted to ask her a couple of questions. So talk to me a little bit about the concept behind this particular costume.
It was actually an image I saw maybe a couple years ago online, and I saved it to my phone, and then the last No Kings protest, it just kind of popped in my mind, and I thought, I think I could pull that off. So I got somebody to loan me a cage, and my cousin built me the platform. I was initially just going to wear the costume and just be a Liberty, but the cage...
What does it mean? Yeah.
Well, it started out with just being a literal interpretation of kids and people being locked up in cages with the immigration situation. But honestly, I wake up every day and feel like I'm in this cage. Not only are our rights and our liberties being stripped away from us every day, but as a sexual assault survivor, I wake up every day and hear another story of another perpetrator, or this Epstein stuff is out of control, and I literally wake up, so many of us with the gaslighting and all that, we're being triggered every single day. I'm waking up in this cage. And so as an advocate, as somebody who cares about people, including my own self, I'm doing this for my own healing too, you know. So right now, we're all caged.
Yeah.
We're all caged.
Yeah.
Some people are literally caged, and some people it's more of a metaphor.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Very unique. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And this is just one. This is one of very many creative costumes, different stories, so many different concepts behind it. So I will tell you guys, we are going to try to catch these demonstrators and, of course, bring you guys the latest in just a bit. Okay?
All right, Tradisha, thank you. I know it's busy out there, so we appreciate you taking the time in the middle of what's turning out to be a chaotic day in Uptown, but of course peaceful, and that's what's important. We'll come back to you a bit later. All right, we're going to take another quick break. Stick with us, though. We've got, as I said, coming up protests in Monroe, as well as soon in Rock Hill. So stick with us. Lots more coverage that we're going to get to both locally and nationally of these No Kings protests. We'll be right back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Live Impact News here on Saturday afternoon. It's 1:22. We are here especially to cover the No Kings protests. We're actually going to head to New York now. This is happening live. Take a listen in.
No, they should be more afraid of us.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Because we still believe in the core American values of justice, equality, decency, and kindness. Because we're going from the streets to the ballot box, and because we all deserve a country with no kings, no Trump. Thank you.
Don't go too far. I call all of the speakers back up so we can close out together. Thank you all for joining us today. I want to remind everyone that our democracy is only as strong as the people who make it. So if you are not out in the streets today, we encourage you to join us. Sign up. Visit handsoffnyc.com. Handsoffnyc.com. Make sure that you are calling your
All right, so you were just listening into New York, just at the tail end of that, and confirmed that was Robert De Niro speaking. And so they've got some pretty big names there in New York supporting this No Kings protest. Now, one of many celebrities that we've seen, not just politicians, but celebrities that we've seen participate in this third round of the No Kings protest. We're going to head to Philadelphia now, continuing on with our beat of just touching the national protests. Again, I think 3,000 events, more than that, planned in all 50 states and abroad. And so this is just one of many that we're going to continue to just check in with throughout the day.
Eso me da igual, porque al fin y al cabo, is what I'm reporting. Like, I can say whatever, but she's telling me that I'm telling my opinion. No, I'm telling the fact. That's not my opinion.
Yeah, it's fact.
If you tell me that the sky is red, I'm gonna put.
All right. Lots going on there in Philadelphia. Multiple of these national protests that we're going to touch on, but we're going to take another quick break and then get back out to one of our local protests here in the Charlotte area in just a bit. Stick with us. Welcome back to Live Impact News. Julie Kay here. We're heading back out, of course, to our local No Kings protest. Just want to show you a live look here in Uptown Charlotte as our crews are getting set up to talk to us a bit later. But this is just a live look at the scene. You're seeing, as we've said throughout the day, costumes, signs, just hundreds of people marching through Uptown right now. We'll check in with Tradisha in a bit. But I want to send us back down to South Carolina first. That's where we find Richard Devane in Fort Mill. Now, Richard, I know that things have kind of calmed down a bit, but I'm still hearing honking even though quite a bit of the crowd has dispersed.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, Julie. Good. Happy Saturday to you. Yeah, last time in the last few hits I've done, now you hear honking, but that's from folks who know that these folks have been here throughout the morning. The last few hits, I've been standing amongst people, and across the street, right here on Gold Hill Road, right across the street, you can see some folks still there. This is probably, I messaged you guys a few minutes ago and said about a third of the crowd that's left. This is even a little bit less than that. Now, there's still dozens of folks who are here, but many of them have already left to go. Maybe some of them will be around, and we'll see them with Tradisha because they're heading to Charlotte or to other areas protest just to continue to let their voices be heard. Now, we've heard people honking their horns, people who've watched our coverage or know about this event who are coming through this area. Crowds or what's left of the crowds, and honk their horns in support. We have seen some folks in opposition, a few folks. I actually, right after our last hit, we were able to run up on the car because, of course, you know, we didn't want to obstruct traffic, but they were like, this is a great thing, we're against it. But they have a right to do it. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. And then they drove off. But they were saying, we don't support this event. But they did so in a nice manner. Now, we did hear a couple of people who had some not so charitable things to say as they drove by. But that's about the worst of it. Most people either in support have been honking their horns. Those folks who are against what's going on today, they have been silent or just maybe looked the other way or put a thumbs down or something like that. I've seen some people jump out of their car and take video and pictures of the goings-on today. Of course, this is all about folks who say they want to make their voices known. They're upset about the current administration and what's been happening. They say the direction that the country is taking. So we spoke to some of them earlier today just to find out why they came out today here in Fort Mill. Here's what a few had to say. Take a listen.
To the day. For No Kings 1 I was at 3, for No Kings 2 I was at 4, but this one, because of the timings, I couldn't get it to stack them. So this is my first of the day of 2, but I've been doing this since before May Day of last year.
Do you think the previous No Kings marches accomplished anything, and what do you hope gets accomplished if not?
So I think this is really just an opportunity for people to flex their muscles and to be brave and to kind of step in that first baby step of getting out there for organizing. You know, we've been very privileged as a society for a long time in the aggregate, and a lot of people haven't been personally affected in ways that have motivated them to take to the streets before. So this is really just an invitation and a first step. What really matters is what's happening in between these protests, but also that we maintain a visible presence and that the government and everyone sees that we're not going anywhere, and in fact our ranks are growing. And so that would be my opinion of the No Kings function, if you will.
South Carolina.
It's early. It's kind of cold, but you're out here anyway.
Yes, yep. I took a day off from work so I could be here. I felt that this was a heck of a lot more important. Work will always be there.
Why?
Why? Because this isn't the democracy that the country was founded on, and I just think we have to let everybody know that we're not going to stand for it.
Okay, this is one of
just 2 of the folks that we spoke with earlier. You heard our photojournalist Ruben Wallace asking those folks those questions. Dozens of opinions, dozens of folks out here, all of them with a unified feeling that they're upset with the way things are going, but all of them having different reasons specifically why they had to come out here today. And as you heard that first woman speak about, she's leaving here, or she's already left because I don't see her anymore. She was actually across the street. She's leaving here to go to Charlotte, they say, for that big rally that's held on. For our part, we're going to go to York County, into Rock Hill, and check out things there. So, Julie, we're going to send it back to you, but we're reporting live here in Fort Mill. We'll send it back to you.
All right, Richard, thank you again for being live out there for us, and excited to see what's going on in York as well. So we'll see you in a bit. Thank you so much. Heading now back out to Tradisha. She is live for us in Uptown. And Tradisha, I know you've now gotten on the other side of the protest here. What are you seeing from this angle?
Yeah, Julie, we were able to catch the demonstrators. We had to cut a couple of corners, but once again, still very live in the middle of all of the action. A lot of folks are pretty much just finishing their first lap around Uptown. You can see folks still straggling in. We've been here for about 10 minutes and the crowds are still coming. This is a lot of people flooding the streets of Uptown, once again, wanting to ensure that their voices are heard. We've heard from lots of different folks. We've seen lots of different costumes. We've seen lots of creative signage. Look, there's someone right now saying dump Trump with her sticker. Folks are just really expressing their opinions here. Obviously, once again, we've been echoing this all day. A lot of folks just not happy with the current administration, and they're calling for change. A lot of folks saying no kings, no silence, saying they wanted their voices to be heard tonight. We keep talking about some of the topics that they've been discussing: immigration enforcement, some of the ongoing wars overseas, saying they feel unheard by the current administration. A lot of folks taking that and using the signage and using a lot of the creative costumes to really break down their thoughts and what's weighing heavily on their hearts tonight. And once again, they just finished up their first lap. I'm not sure if they're going to go around Uptown again, but I will tell you that this is still the first beginning of the crowds here. We're just kind of hanging out. Normally, I know last time they had folks kind of stop towards the first beginning of where the protest initially started. I'm not sure what they're going to do this time, but I am seeing the lines and crowds kind of slow down. So maybe people are kind of pouring back into the park area. Of course, we're here. We're going to continue to stick around and bring you guys the latest updates. But once again, chant's still ongoing. People still here, shoulder to shoulder, calling and pushing for change.
Yeah, Tradisha, quite a large turnout there in Uptown. We will continue to follow this with you there live for us. We appreciate it. I wanted to get back out to, of course, the response from the White House. We don't have much, but I do want to show the other side as much as we can. This is the only thing that we've heard from the Trump administration. This is from Abigail Jackson. She's a White House spokeswoman. She said, quote, "The only people who care about these Trump derangement therapy sessions are the reporters who are paid to cover them." Again, we have not heard directly from President Donald Trump. If we do get any updates, whether that be him speaking to reporters today or posting on Truth Social directly from President Trump, we will bring that to you if and when we get it. But at this point, the messaging from the White House seems to be to act as if these protests are not going on. And that is the only statement we've gotten thus far. But again, if we hear anything else, we will, of course, bring the other side. Richard, of course, mentioning, though, that he's hearing from people down in South Carolina who don't agree with the protests. But so far, the majority of those people on both sides have been peaceful. And that is what needs to happen no matter what. We're going to take a quick break. Stick with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Live Impact News. Julie Kay here on this Saturday as we continue to follow nationwide No Kings protests. I want to listen in though because I know Tradisha from our live feed is doing an interview right now with one of those protesters. Let's listen.
This country.
What specifically are some of your top concerns about what's going on in this country?
Racism, not accepting the LGBTQ committee, just everybody is finding life so difficult and no one in the government seems to want to make it easier for you guys. Everything's a struggle at the moment and you can see that by the numbers that have been here today.
Yeah. What are some things specifically that you want to see change? What does that look like for you?
A new president that runs this proper country the way it should be run, and so it benefits every single one of you guys, and that everybody can live a happy, productive life and not live in fear.
Is there anything else you'd like to mention and say that maybe I didn't mention?
No, that's it, but I'm having a great time, and thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
See you guys.
See you.
All right, so Tradisha, as you can see, is out there talking to people live in the field. Of course, very hectic scene out there. We'll check back in with her later, hopefully hear from some more of those demonstrators. We want to get to some of our coverage around the nation right now. This is a live feed from our station in D.C. They're doing a live interview right now about protests in their area.
Where people can feel like that promise was fulfilled.
Well, they're going to see it on tax day on April 15th when they actually get sizable returns back from the federal government. And essentially, we've stabilized inflation. So remember, once prices go up, they never come down. They can only be stabilized. And the way that we're running oil and natural gas in particular is what is going to bring about that affordability. I'm telling you, the only wrench in the problem right now is this conflict in Iran. And what the president is saying is, look, give me 50 days of pain and we're going to have 50 years of economic success in America, because essentially Iran won't be holding the rest of the world hostage.
And you mentioned the war in Iran here, saying that we need to wrap it up quickly, but we are kind of getting different stories here. That it was only going to be a few weeks, and now it's really an unclear timeline, potentially boots on the ground. Where do we stand with all of this, and kind of break that down for us?
We are only 28 days into it, so you said a few weeks. We seem to still be on a few weeks. There are no boots on the ground, and essentially Donald Trump is not starting a war. He's ending a war that began 47 years ago when Iran basically took over the U.S. embassy. It's been killing U.S. service members in the Middle East for decades. I mean, he's not starting a war, he's ending a war. And I think that a lot of people in America are not privy to that, thanks to legacy media, glossing over and trying to make it look bad for what Donald Trump is doing. He's been the peace president, he's ended 8 conflicts, and this will be the 9th.
So where is the peace in this? Because now, because of the war that we've engaged in along with Israel against Iran, we have seen Iran retaliate against its neighbors in the UAE, causing economic disruption in that part of the world as well. Where is the peace? Where is the stability?
It's amazing you bring that up, because UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Oman are all agreeing with the United States and Israel. That's kind of amazing when you think about it. Iran has no allies. In fact, you even have the Russians saying that Iran needs to find a diplomatic solution to end it. And the fact that Pakistan, which is controlled by China, is basically trying to mediate tells you that Russia and China want Iran to stop it too.
Well, there's some really concerns about this war, primarily because of the Americans that we've lost up until this point. There's a concern that with additional Americans there, that we will lose even more lives. And this war is becoming increasingly unpopular for the administration, that potentially could have blowbacks when we think about the midterm elections coming up in November.
Well, look, nobody ever wants to see any American service member die. But I will say in the 4 weeks that we've been in Iran, this has been the most efficient, dominating air power campaign in the history of the United States. And I'm like you, I want to see it wrap up as soon as possible. So I think we're in agreement that it needs to end as soon as possible. But we are where we are at the moment.
President Trump has real concerns that he could potentially lose the House and the Senate in November. Republicans have sort of started at least planning for that. What do you want to see from this administration? What do you want to see from the president moving forward after today and these demonstrations?
Deliver on what I was talking about originally, which he's delivered on security. I mean, we have the lowest murder rate since 1900 in American history. We have the most secure border in American history. We're doing well on the security front. What we need to see a little bit more of is the economic pickup and prosperity, because again, we can argue numbers all day long, guys, but it's how the American voter feels when they go into the voting booth in November. And what I would say is, if I'm Donald Trump, I'd make the real point in this. Why would you turn the keys back to the car of Congress over to the very people that put you in this situation? That is going to be the key question in November. And if anyone can drive that home, it would be Donald Trump.
And Ford, before we let you go, I just want to ask you, when we talk about the protests happening today, what is the message? How are Republicans receiving that message of millions of people coming out across the country and sharing their concerns? How is that being received on the other side of the aisle?
Well, I think what happens is what you're seeing is how polarized the country is. Because when I look at these protests, I look at them nothing more than Trump derangement syndrome therapy sessions. At the same time, though, that has to worry me come November, because I have to make sure in midterm elections it's base versus base. If I'm a Republican, I have to make sure that the base of my party is fired up as the Democrats. Because what these protests show me is I've got millions of pissed off Democrats, and you better counter them at the ballot box, or you're going to lose the United States House of Representatives. You're not going to lose the United States Senate.
All right. Well, the demonstrators are fired up, and so is Ford O'Connell. We appreciate you being here with us, sir. Good to see you. Thank you so much. Have a good day, okay?
Much appreciated. Thank you.
Take care.
You.
Live interview there out in D.C. with our team there doing that coverage. Getting some of the other side, too, as we've been trying to hear more from people who oppose these protests. He had an interesting response there and referenced that same statement that we've been referencing, the only statement that we have from the White House calling these Trump derangement therapy sessions. But, of course, also some really interesting insight into what this shows, these nationwide protests shows for the impacts of the midterm elections, which is, of course, what both Republicans and Democrats are looking at right now. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll hear next from Tradisha in Uptown. Stick with us. Welcome back to special coverage here on WCNC Plus of No Kings protests around the region. We've got more than 20, but of course, Uptown is the big one for Charlotte. That's where we find Tradisha Woodard. Tradisha, I am able to see your screen from in here, but it's been a while since we checked in with you. A lot going on down there in Uptown.
Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what's chanting behind me right now. The streets of Uptown, Julie, still echoing for change. People saying, hey, no kings, no silence. I was actually trying to see if this crowd looped back around, but it has not. And the crowd is still ongoing. They have just circled Uptown one time, but as you can see, there's still crowds of people still coming down the street. once again, echoing change, demanding to be heard, just demonstrating through signage and costumes. We have video of one man dressed in a diaper with McDonald's, like very, very creative, very, very unique, crazy costumes we've seen out here. Basically, folks just demonstrating what they want to change. We talked about immigration. We talked about ICE. We talked about ongoing war overseas. We actually, if you were tuned in about 15 to 20 minutes ago, we spoke with the lady dressed as a Statue of Liberty in a cage, sitting on the ground. I asked her what was the concept of that costume and what it meant, and she told me she feels caged every day. She says it's a resemblance of the life that she lives every day, and she's pushing for change, just like a lot of these folks that are still out on the streets today. You can see a woman who technically can't even walk the streets of Uptown, but she is pushing through, rolling through with her signage as well. Are you okay? Okay, she wants us to get video of her signage as well. So yeah, just once again, one of very many people, very, very passionate. There's a lot of heavy hearts out here today. We spoke to a woman that came all the way from Australia. She says she's been here for weeks, waiting specifically for this day, for this moment. She says she has so many people that she cares about and love, and she wants to ensure that the right people are in control, the right people are in power to help promote change across our community, across specifically these streets of Charlotte. So once again, folks still marching, still chanting, still calling for change. As we continue to learn more, we'll continue to stick around and we'll continue to bring you guys the latest. From Uptown, Tradisha Woodard.
Tradisha, I actually have to ask you one more time about the man in the McDonald's costume. We had a little bit of trouble with the video earlier and we have it back up now. What was going on here?
I don't know what was going on, Julie. I don't know what was going on, but that was just one of very many crazy costumes that we saw out here. I think he was trying to demonstrate Donald Trump. He had on a diaper. He had on a McDonald's bag. He had money in his mouth. I'm not sure if he was saying that he was all about money. Just so many different concepts you could have taken from that costume specifically. He had a lot of orange paint all over his face, and he has been galloping through the streets of Uptown, lots of energy, taking pictures with everybody. Once again, just one of very many crazy costumes that we've seen out here thus far today.
Yeah, definitely up to interpretation for sure. Tradisha will let you get back out there.
We also see police officers, so this must be the end of the parade here. Finally, this is the end. We've been out here for a while, so this is the wrap of the end of the demonstrators here in Uptown.
All right, Tradisha, we'll check in with you later. Thank you so much, as always, for your very important coverage of what's going on there in Uptown. We'll be back with you later. I think we want to take a live shot. I know Monroe is the next place that our Walker Lawson is going. He's not quite there yet, and we might have a little bit of trouble with our feed here. We've been checking in on one of those live cameras outside of Monroe, and there it's back up now, where you can see people have begun to gather, and so Walker's on his way now. We'll be talking to some of those people, again, one of 20 in our area, but again, some in South Carolina, some in the mountain communities. So No Kings protests are definitely no shortage here. I think we're going to head next to, I believe this is CARE in Minneapolis, that we're going to head to next for our live coverage. James, would you like to go there? Or would you like to go to D.C.?
You are correct. That's where I was leading you, but instead, let's go to D.C., Julie.
All right, we're heading to D.C. next. This is our station there with their live coverage of No Kings protests in their area.
And what we've yet to hear from organizers with No Kings and others. What is the plan? What are you going to do? What does that look like? How are you going to get Congress involved in that? What are you doing on your local communities to see it through? We've yet to get any of those sort of substantive answers. And that just seems maybe to some to be a bit of a waste of time, that you're out here making noise on the street, you know, you're dressed up, you have these signs, and then you go home and then you do nothing at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think we have seen the trickle-down effect from all of this. You've got frustration that, you know, people on Capitol Hill cannot come to an agreement. We have seen this partial government shutdown going on for weeks now, TSA agents without pay. That has obviously impacted the airports. Just this morning, we're reporting on BWI. 4 hours is what they're recommending that people come before their flights. These agents are calling out sick. They're trying to support their families, and yet we have no resolution on Capitol Hill, but they've gone on break, right? for the holidays. Yeah. So I think that is where a lot of the frustration lies too, and is where we're going to see some common ground and finally some compromise.
You know, then one of the questions that we asked one of our earlier guests, Scott Warren, is common ground a thing of the past, right?
Yeah.
He said no, that, you know, he still holds out hope that things eventually will sort of come together again, but I don't think we've seen common ground in a while, and it's sort of a foreign concept up until this point. So. All right. Let's go to Sarah Robinson. She's joining us from Germantown right now with a rally out there. Sarah, let us know what you're seeing. What are people telling you?
Well, I can definitely say that the vibe here is very peaceful. You can hear some music behind me. There were people singing and dancing. They were just chanting a bit ago. But there are hundreds of people out here. I want to show you the crowd size that we're looking at. This rally in Germantown started around 12. I believe it's expected to go until about 2:30. But we were also at another location this morning in Riverdale Park, Maryland. That's about a 40-ish minute drive from here. That one was from 10 to noon. And at both locations, we saw hundreds of people lining the streets, as you can see here now, encouraging people to honk, to slow down. There's a lot of people here with signs, as I'm sure you can see. We've also seen some inflatable costumes. Those costumes, I believe, were made popular in Oregon at some protests last year, or early this year, I should say, in Oregon. But really, people say that they want their voices heard. They are struggling, they say, with what is going on in this country. Take a listen.
ICE in our neighborhoods.
The American dream that our parents promised to us really seems to be slipping away in both a financial sense.
It's just horrifying that we started a war with Iran.
Immigration enforcement, the economy, and the war in Iran. Three key concerns driving hundreds of Marylanders out today for the third No King's Day protest against President Donald Trump. Across the country, more than 3,000 demonstrations are planned nationwide, organized by activist groups Indivisible, Move On, and the ACLU.
For me, it's important to, gather around and realize that we have the power to make change impossible.
In Riverdale Park, along Route 1, people of all ages and backgrounds line the street, urging their neighbors to take action.
I just wanted people to know that you can vote in your primary on June 23rd if you're a Maryland resident.
Others say even if change feels uncertain, showing up still matters.
Well, he's broken all kinds of laws. So for real, we don't know. Just being honest, he's broken all kinds of laws. He does it continuously and no one does anything. So maybe he will come back.
I think that there's a lot of strength in community.
Now over here you can see some flags. They're in this area. Before you guys came to me, there was a speech going on, and they hit on a lot of the talking points that you guys have been chatting about this afternoon. The economy, they talked about immigration, but really they talked about what people can do after this point, because there have been a series of No King's Day protests, and people want to know what they can do that's going to move the needle. And they were really talking about voting, how important it is to make sure that you're registered to vote, how important it is to make sure that you show up to your primary and to the midterm later this year. And something that I touched on a bit in that piece that you just heard, but a lot of people are really driving home the issue of the economy. They tell me that Trump ran on lowering grocery prices, lowering gas prices, but they tell me that it's harder to pay for gas, it's harder to put food on the table, and they're not sure what to do. One gentleman that you heard talk to me about, he was raised with this idea of the American dream, which means being able to provide for your family, and he was mentioning that he's not sure that he could do that for children that he plans to have in the future. Guys?
Sarah, I want to ask you, before we came to you earlier, I had asked about counter-protesters. Is that something that you're seeing at this point into the rally, or what has kind of the mood and the vibe been like?
Yeah, well, the vibes here are high. I would say there are people singing and dancing. We've heard some Bob Marley songs. It has been completely peaceful. Everyone has been in a pretty pleasant mood, although they are definitely passionate about the issues that they are here protesting. We have heard about counter-protesters being not necessarily in this area, but just that they exist today. I, myself, and our team, we have not seen any. But of course, if that changes, we'll be sure to let you know.
Sarah Robinson, thank you so much. We do want to get to a message from the White House that we've gotten their response to the demonstrations today. And this statement from Abigail Jackson, a spokesperson for the White House, saying this, that the only people who care about these Trump derangement theory sessions are the reporters who are paid to cover them. So that's the official response from the White House about the No Kings rally taking place today. All right.
Now we do want to go out to Southeast.
All right, you were just listening into some coverage there from D.C., one of many places that is really a hotspot for these No Kings protests across the country today. But again, more than 3,000 planned protests across the country, 20 of them being in our viewing area. We're going to get back to some of those in just a little bit. Some views from some new places we haven't been to yet, including Monroe. That's where our Walker Lawson will be in just a couple minutes. But first, you can take a live look there and actually see our storm trucker there. That's where Mason, our photographer, and Walker Lawson are getting set up now to talk to us in just a little bit, but that's the beginning of the Monroe protests. As you can see, we'll be right back in 2 minutes with a live hit from Walker, another live look from uptown. Welcome back to Live Impact News. Julie Kay here, top of the hour. It is 2 p.m., 2:01 now, as we continue to follow multiple scenes throughout the country and our area of No Kings protests. You're seeing Minneapolis there. We're going to stop by there in just a moment. Also, Washington, D.C., one of the hubs for many of these No Kings protests. And then a live shot from Monroe. That's where our crews will be in just a moment. We'll get a live shot, hopefully, in a moment here from Walker Lawson as he's getting out there and talking to people. He was just in Waxhaw earlier, and that just really shows how widespread these are across the area, that he's getting a chance to bounce around and talk to multiple people in multiple of these protests. Let's stop by Minneapolis now and then get back to our local crews.
Oh, you got me fussing.
All right, we're heading now to D.C. It seems that our live shot there has dropped, so this is a live shot from D.C. One of the
You can start
there.
making noise now for Margie and Joanna.
Hi, my name is Madhvi, and I'm an organizer with Migrant Solidarity Mutual Aid. We are here today because our communities are being attacked and our home is under occupation.
Hola, yo soy Juana. I'm too short for this. Soy una organizadora con Migrant Solidarity Mutual Aid. Estamos aquí hoy porque nuestras comunidades están siendo atacadas y nuestro hogar está bajo una ocupación.
We are also here today to say fuck ICE, fuck Stephen Miller, fuck Muriel Bowser.
All right, we're having a bit of strong language here in our D.C. protest, so we're going to head now, I think, to, I'm wondering if Tradisha is ready for a live shot in Uptown Charlotte. We're going to go ahead, and Tradisha, thank you. I know we're kind of doing things on the fly here, so thanks for being up and ready for us. Things have been moving around quickly, but tell me what's going on there. I know you guys have moved back to the park, it appears, after following them through the march through Uptown.
Yep, the march through Uptown, it has ended. Some folks are trickling off, going home, going to their cars, but we still have a bulk of people in this park chanting, taking pictures, showing each other signs. They are really coming together here in the park, just kind of chilling and hanging out. It's a nice day. It's kind of chilly, but a lot of folks are taking advantage of the day and finding a way to connect with each other and talk about the big message, which is no kings, no silence, sharing some of their conceptions, sharing some of their thoughts about the current administration, which a lot of folks are just simply not happy with, Julie. They talked about immigration, once again, the conflict that's happening overseas, just really venting and pouring out the heaviness that's on their hearts. Organizers say, you know, they want to turn this momentum into a ballot box. They don't want this just to be something, you know, where they march in the streets. They want this demonstration to have meaning. They say they want folks to be inspired to come out and join the cause, and they want folks, most importantly, to vote and make their voices heard. So that's the overall general theme of today. A lot of folks passing out paperwork, trying to get folks in their community involved, obviously sending a bigger message than just today, Julie.
All right, Tradisha, thank you again for being out there for us. We'll stick with you and be back in just a little bit to see who else you've spoken to. But a lot going on, and she really hit some good points there with especially the ballot box. That's what we're hearing from both sides at this point. You heard earlier, if you were with us, from someone on the other side talking to our station in D.C. live on air, saying this is a sign, whether you agree with it or not, that Democrats are going to the ballot box for this midterm, will be voting. The millions of people that are expected to take the streets today for these No Kings protests nationwide, they're going to the ballot box. What are Republicans going to do to meet them there? That's now what the back and forth is. We're now looking at the midterms. This is really a sign for that. This, though, I want to read again, is the statement we've gotten from the White House. This is from Abigail Jackson, White House spokeswoman. This is the only communication we've gotten from the White House directly. It says, quote, "The only people who care about these Trump derangement therapy sessions are the reporters who are paid to cover them." Again, still have not heard directly from President Donald Trump in terms of any posts on Truth Social, anything regarding that No Kings protests at all, which is especially interesting. I know we've been with our D.C. crews quite a bit because that is also one of the hot spots for many of these protests. We're going to take another quick break, though, and going to come back out to our crews in Monroe in a little bit. You can see this is one of the sky cams there. They're just beginning, of course. This is one of the earlier ends of the protests, so we're going to come back at them in a bit once Walker and our photographer are set up on scene, but you can see it is already beginning there in Monroe. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Live Impact News, 2:08 on your Saturday afternoon here in Charlotte. But we want to get to some of our other protests across the nation in big cities. This is in Boston, where they have just begun. Let's take a listen in.
Owes a great debt to the indigenous peoples of this land. Not only you can move for that, not only in terms of our continued survival on this land, but also in our very model of governance. The Constitution of the United States was inspired by the government of the Haudenosaunee, which you may know as the Iroquois Confederacy. We stand in solidarity with our indigenous siblings, knowing that the U.S. will never be free until the stewardship of this land is returned to its indigenous peoples. Thank you. So now we are going to do the safety chant. You all know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask anyway. Who keeps us safe? Who keeps us safe? Who keeps us safe? That's right. Does everyone here pledge to make this a 100% non-violent action? Excellent. You are all part of the safety team now. And there are 4 situations we really need your help with. Number 1, if a child is separated from their family. Number 2, if someone is sick or injured. Number 3, if someone is being harassed by a counter-protester or agitator. And number 4, overcrowding. We do not want anyone to get squeezed or crushed. So, to share with us these responsibilities, let's do a chant together. Repeat after me. Do you need help? Don't feel your best? Find someone in an orange vest. Parkman Bandstand is the spot. To find a child who's gotten lost.
You've been listening into the No Kings protest there in Boston. That's the main one in their area. But we want to get back out to our Walker Lawson. He's been setting up for us in Monroe after being in Waxhaw earlier. So I know you just got there, Walker, but from the first few minutes of this protest, what are you seeing so far?
Yeah, guys, well, we're seeing a pretty large crowd out here. Now, they are split up because they're around the 4 different corners. I'll actually step out of the way to the best that I can since we're doing this off phone right now. But as you can see, crowds here in downtown Monroe, people holding signs saying, not my president, freedom and protect your voice, defend democracy. Just a mix of messages, as we mentioned earlier, about what people specifically are upset about. Again, different conflicts, different prices of things. So really seeing, but we're also seeing what's really interesting is here we're seeing a lot of people from all different ages. We can see there are young kids out here holding signs as well. So this is a pretty good mix of a group here. If I had to guess, I'm going to say around between the 4 different blocks split up, I'd probably say close to 100 people. There might be more from what I cannot see. But Julie, I know that we mentioned earlier that there was a large crowd out in Waxhaw. Earlier, I actually ended up just speaking to one of the people that helped organize the event last time, and she said she had also heard that numbers were probably around 600 plus or so higher than they were at the last event.
All right, really helpful to get those numbers too, Walker. Thank you. And I know that you still have to go out and talk to people, so we'll check back in later to see what they have to say. All right, we're going to go now to James, where you think we should head next.
Checking right now to see if our Rock Hill crew is online.
We're going to check in. I know Richard was headed next. We heard from him earlier. He was headed from Fort Mill to Rock Hill. He's kind of covering our South Carolina protests earlier, and he's been really great about talking to people live in the field. So if we get a chance to hit him now, that'd be fantastic. He might not be up yet, though.
Yes, Richard, we got you.
All right, Richard, I'm not sure if you're able to hear me. If you can, how are things out there? How are things out there in Rock Hill?
Things are, I guess, bananas according to this sign. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Ruben actually has an eye in the sky that he's going to show us in a few minutes, so forgive this camera shot, but there are literally hundreds of folks here lining the streets here in Rock Hill, and I found the top banana to talk to. Just, how do you feel about this crowd today?
Well, this is bananas. I can't believe the turnout. It's amazing to see.
And do you think by coming out today that you're getting your message across?
Absolutely. You're here. That's what we need.
Speak a little bit louder. Tell us first of all.
We need people to see that we're all out here and we all have a voice, and we're all in one accord.
And what is that message, the overriding message you want out there?
It's not right.
It's not right.
This is not right. This is not the way we are governed. This is not the way we rule. This is not the way we make decisions. This is not the way we as a society live. This is not the way we as citizens act. It's not right.
And as we now get Ruben back over here as he's coming off the eye in the sky, Ruben's going to show us a little bit of this crowd. Folks out here lining the streets in Rock Hill, letting their message be heard. Hi, folks. Good morning. Good Saturday morning, folks. A good Saturday afternoon, actually. There they go. There's the energy. There's the energy as folks, you see all these signs and folks here trying to explain how important this is. And the most important reason for, you're somebody, tell us, no, right here, you. Who are you and where are you from?
Yeah, my name's Eli. I'm from right here in Rock Hill, South Carolina.
Why are you here today?
I'm here to resist tyranny, to stand up. And I want to let everybody know, this isn't AI. This is real. People are here today. This isn't fake.
To see so many people out here, so many people spreading this message, do you think this resonates with the White House?
Oh, absolutely. We can't stop. We won't stop. Yeah, no doubt.
And I didn't ask you where you're from, and Mr. Banana, where are you from?
Rock Hill, South Carolina.
Rock Hill, South Carolina. Thank you so much, sir, and thank you so much for coming out here. We've got folks. Where are you from? You've got.
Mill.
You're from Fort Mill?
Yep.
I was just in Fort Mill. Were you there?
I drove from Fort Mill this morning.
Oh, you didn't make that protest. I was just covering the one in Fort Mill.
I didn't.
Why were you not there? Why were you not there with me in Fort Mill? I needed you in Fort Mill today to talk to.
Well,
but I got you now. I got you now. Tell me, why are you here today? And first of all, what's your name?
Linda.
Linda from Fort Mill. Tell me, looking at this crowd, how does it feel to be out here?
Good, because it feels like there's support to go against what's going on. And we want our democracy. We want our rights. The SAVE Act is going to make it very difficult for women to vote. If you change your last name, if that goes through the way they want to put it through, that takes that out. He also stuck in a bunch of bills about transgender along with the SAVE Act. He stuck in a few of his wish lists, and people are looking at passing that. So they have to speak up.
And do you think that this coming out here resonates with the folks in Rock Hill in York County?
I think Ralph Norman is tone dead. He doesn't hear it. I call him all the time. They must have my number on speed dial because they don't answer anymore.
Well, what about folks who might be at home watching us on the Plus or watching our stories on TV later today? What is the message that you would say to someone who's at home who doesn't know about No King's Day and why you're here? What would you want them to know?
Well, I'd want them to pay attention to what's going on with misinformation, with lies. RFK is, pushing anti-vax rhetoric, and we have the highest rate of measles in this state across the country.
That's right.
We also had 2 deaths from young kids should not have died because they weren't vaccinated, and he's promoting that so people believe him because he's in a position of power that people are listening to.
And do you think that folks who watch this will unite?
We come back. Yes, I hope so. Unite at the polls. Get out there and vote. Midterms are coming up. That's where you'll make the difference.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I'm glad to see you. And thank you for joining us. This is just some more of the folks out here. They've got their signs up. They're turning around, facing away from the street for us so you can see some of the messages that they're doing in signs. As we continue to cover this you can see that there are literally hundreds of folks here. And like that one lady I just spoke to, the young lady from Fort Mill, she just made this her first stop. Other folks have been going to the different protests. Some folks, this is their first time coming out. Others say they're veterans. You can see that there are a lot of creative signs here and a lot of folks very happy about the opportunity to share with folks. Someone's telling me don't fall off the side. I'll try not to. I'm going to try to not fall off the side, Julie. But as you can imagine, a lot of folks, and we find this one thing out that we've been saying all day. We're finding out from different people there are different things that are important to them. They may come because of the women's rights. They may come because of ICE and its tactics. They may come because of LGBTQ rights. They may come just because of some of the other policies. They may come because of the economic situation. Some people have said they're upset at the war. So there are a myriad of reasons why folks are out here. And just as much as we've heard folks say that they're happy to be here, we've seen some people who are saying that they don't agree with what's going on. Sometimes they'll yell it out of the window as they drive by. Some folks at different locations have given a thumbs down, and we want to give them their time too and say that they're not for what's happening here. But this group, peaceful protest today, that is going on right here in Rock Hill. Folks saying that there is a time for change, and they want that change to come about now. We'll check back in throughout the day. We'll be here. We'll talk to some more folks and see how they feel and some of the messages that they want to get across. But we're right here, Julie K. We are in Rock Hill, kind of organized and a more festive event here as well. So we'll send it back to you.
Hard to top the banana costume, Richard. Thank you very much out there for keeping us updated. We'll check back in later. All right, we're going to head now to a quick break, but know that we're coming back to Uptown Charlotte with Tradisha Woodard in just a couple minutes. Stick with us. Welcome back to Live Impact News. Julie K here, just short of 2:30 on your Saturday as we continue our coverage of No Kings protests around the region. I know that we just heard from CMPD that the protest in Uptown has ended peacefully, but still some people in that area, of course, milling about as they have finished their march. So I want to check in back with Tradisha Woodard. She's live for us there. Tradisha, how are things now? What have you learned since we last saw you?
Well, just as I mentioned a few minutes ago, Julie, a lot of folks are trickling out of the park. Some folks are kind of hanging around, sticking around. One of them being Mr. Joseph. He's sitting right here beside me. And Mr. Joseph, this is his first No Kings protest. He didn't walk, but he wanted to come out here. He wanted to show his support. And today he said he was going to stick around and also start playing some music on his instrument, singing as well. Mr. Joseph, I guess my first question to you is, why is it so important for you to participate and be a part of the demonstration here today?
Well, I was getting pretty depressed hearing all the bad things in the news, all that's going on. And I think being able to do something about it has really lifted my spirits. So.
And one of the things that you're doing here today is playing music. A lot of folks, I saw them, every time you pull out your guitar, I see a couple of stragglers stop by. The name of the song you're going to be playing is The Streets of Minneapolis. Talk to me a little bit about why you chose that song before we take a listen.
Well, this was written just in this past December by Bruce Springsteen. I'm sure he won't mind me playing it because he wrote it about the protests against the ICE agents in Minneapolis and the death of Alex Preddy and Renee Good. And the story I heard is he wrote it in one day. The next day he recorded it. Then he put it on the internet, and then by the end of the week it was all over the world. I mean,
wow.
if you search for this song, you'll see different people doing it.
Nice. So we're ready to listen. We're gonna chime in. He not only plays, but he also sings. So let's take a listen.
Through the winters, ice and cold, down Nicollet Avenue, a city of flame, pot, fire, and ice, neath an occupier's boots. King Trump's private army from the DHS, guns belted to their coats, came to Minneapolis to enforce the law, or so their story goes, against smoke and rubber bullets in the dawn's early light. Citizens stood for justice, their voices ringing through the night. And there were bloody footprints where mercy should have stood, and 2 dead left to die on snow-filled streets, Alex Preddy and Renee Good. Oh,
You've been listening in there to Tradisha Woodard interviewing a man there who has been singing and honoring the lives of some of those lost in these protests. We want to continue on with our protests, though, across the country. We're going to head now to Boston. Take a listen in here.
The Iraq War. By never repealing the AUMF from that time, Congress has allowed this war and every illegal action of every president since then to occur, all in the name of fighting terror. It's ironic at best that this administration says they're fighting terrorists when they bombed a school on day one and then denounced what they call stupid rules of engagement. The VA has been under attack by people who want to profit by privatizing it. This administration is eliminating tens of thousands of jobs from an already understaffed agency and has attacked their unions. At the same time, they're starting illegal wars, which will increase demand for VA services because they don't care about the military, they don't care about veterans, they don't care about you, and they sure as hell don't care about the Iranian people. They only care about their corporate profits and stock dividends. And the $200 billion in additional funding that they want will give them plenty of those. So call your elected representatives and tell them to oppose that funding. If you are in the military, you have a right to deny illegal orders. Start working on a conscientious objector package right now before it's too late. Contact the GI Rights Hotline Contact About Face or Veterans for Peace if you need to talk to somebody who has been there. The government has deported one of About Face's members. They're trying to deport another one of our members. They can use your support. Please spread the word about their cases. You can find information on our social media accounts at Vets About Face. Thank you.
For Bahar and Jeff. No crowns. No thrones. No king. No throne. No crown. No kings. And one reason we really don't need no kings is because there probably was no queens either. But I have the privilege of introducing a queen right now. This sister, Giselle Bird, is the executive artistic director of the Theater Offensive, a Boston-based organization presenting liberating art by, for, and about queer and trans people of color. Appointed in 2023, she is the first black transgender woman to lead a regional theater company and brings over a decade of experience in talent management, production, and cultural partnership. An award-winning producer, she is a leading and bold vision for Boston and beyond, centering community culture and transformative storytelling. Give it up for Giselle Bird.
You've been listening in there to the protest, the No Kings protest in Boston. We're going to take a quick break, but know that we're going to check back in with Walker in Monroe right after this. Welcome back to Live Impact News 2:30 on your Saturday afternoon. We are continuing to follow those No Kings protests across our region. That's where we find Walker Lawson in Monroe. Walker, what have you learned since we last spoke to you about 20 minutes ago?
Yeah, Julie, well, since we last spoke to you, we kind of moved locations just to get a glimpse of the crowd. There's actually two cars right behind me, so it makes it a little hard to see them, actually. But there is a large crowd on the opposite side of the street from us. A lot of people out here cheering, of course, chanting No Kings. Now, we actually ended up speaking to another guy just moments ago, right after we had finished our live shot, and asked him what was really the driving factor for him to be out here today. And he said it's the promise that there were no wars or these forever wars would not be happening, and he does not want his sons or daughters to be sent out to the south to Iran. So again, concerns about that and what's unfolding, but just a large crowd out here of people today. They said that they would not spend their Saturday any other way, of course. So just a large number of people, again, just trying to voice what they think is right for the country moving forward.
All right, Walker, thank you for that. I know that it's been a busy day, but thanks for showing us multiple angles of both Waxhaw and Monroe. We'll check in back with you one more time a little bit later on. Now, James, I don't know if we want to head next is if Richard's available. Are we sure?
I think Richard's getting set up, so maybe we'll just join Boston again for a moment.
Yeah, we'll check in with Boston, and then we'll head back out to Rock Hill in just a little bit.
It will crumble. It will. For the birthplace of the American Revolution, it is time that we start living up to that moniker. We can't continue to claim that we are the best until we prove that we are. All of us here today and those watching at home, we must be held accountable. Where are the artists at in this space? To the artists, keep creating. Remember that we have always been the historian. There is a reason that in acts of war, our work is destroyed. To our BIPOC and immigrant communities, where y'all at? Your contributions have always made America great. Your blood, sweat, and tears have fertilized this land. And allies, it's time for you to fight now. We have grown weary of proving our humanity. It's your turn. To those who birth lineages, may the day come where your autonomy is no longer up for debate. And specifically to those of color, may you no longer perish as you give birth to our future. To the elected officials, local and state, do your damn job! Fight like hell, flip every table, and work in tandem with community when you make decisions, not just for a publicity shot. Protect us. There are no kings, and let it be clear, there are no queens either. It's beyond time that we the people, all people, are reflected in our governance. And please recognize, thoughts and prayers won't answer for someone missing at the dinner table. But your actions at City Hall, the State House, or Washington, D.C. can pave the way for justice. Do not forsake the people who got you to this place. And most importantly, to our youth, especially our trans youth. Keep claiming joy. They will work overtime to strip you of every fiber of your being, but please know they will not ever be able to possess the magic that you do. People in power have failed you. They are mediocre. Your brilliance overpowers them. You are the portal and you are the destination to a bright future on the other side of this moment. Remember who you are. We need you. The American dream has become a nightmare. In fact, I don't think it ever existed. But today we have the ability to wake up and take action. We cannot stop fighting until liberty and justice for all applies to everyone. It is our birthright. Our humanity is not up for debate. Thank you, Boston. Be safe. No kings, no queens. We the people demand justice. Thank you.
As we wrap up that speech in Boston, we want to head back to our area. Richard Devane live for us in Rock Hill. Richard, what's going on over there?
Yeah, a festive situation, Julie. Let you see the crowds over here. A lot of folks out here enjoying the day, making their voices felt, taking some time. And as Ruben comes back over here, I decided to raise up my standards a little bit and talk to someone on a higher level than me, which is probably everybody here, but especially this man. Tell me who you are.
Dean Withers.
And the most important, who's that?
This is Cat's Valentine.
Cat's Valentine.
He's an off-track thoroughbred. I've had him 4.5 years. He works for Carrots, and he's a sweetie.
Hey, Cats. How you doing, Cats? Tell us, you're up high. You've got your flag. Tell us, I guess you're making your point felt today.
Well, this is a Revolutionary War cavalry reenactment. A uniform from 1778, 79, that William Washington, the 3rd Light Dragoons fall all through this area to stop us from having a king controlling us, and so I felt like it was appropriate to be here.
Very appropriate.
Same way.
Yeah, we're going to look at this outfit, Ruben. You can just see the whole the outfit, head to toe, looks pretty good.
Well, thank you.
And just, it's important for you and my buddy out here to come out today. Tell us why.
Oh, just to show our support for the, like I said, it's a No Kings rally, to show that that's not what we live under, and we need changes done.
And you're getting a lot of attention, of course.
Yeah, it's to cause attention, to bring attention to the cause.
And after today, what is the goal that you hope will come from all of this?
Just people seeing that they're not alone. There's a lot of people don't like what's happening right now, and to let other people see that, oh, I'm not alone, that there's changes need to be done, and we have to work together.
And I guess it's time for more carrots. Time for more carrots. He's like, I'm ready to go show some more people. So do you have anything to say today? I know. I never get an answer. You know, it's like being married. You never get an answer when you need it. But we thank you so much. I know you stopped for us, and folks want to see you and see what's going on. And Ruben can continue to show you the crowds and the massive amount of folks who are out here. Thank you again for coming out and speaking to us today. We're seeing so many people come out and talk to us. That we just wanted to get to you real quick, Julie, to show you that particular interview. But as you can see, hundreds of folks lining the streets here. Some have asked me actually how it was in other parts, and I've told them about the same. We're seeing a lot of folks out making their voices known, making their feelings felt to everyone. People carrying flags, people carrying signs, people just here. They've also got live music, a more festive mood here, if you will, right here in Rock Hill as folks come out and enjoy themselves. We spoke to some organizers today, right before we went on, who were telling us about some of the reasons to be out here today. They say they just want to organize. They just want to let folks know that their voices can be heard. There are other people who feel the same way, and that they want to make sure that they have that opportunity, not just to be here, but to also take from here the message of organizing and making their voices count. And they say, most importantly, when it's time, I know that sun is bad, I'll stand a little bit this way, and making their vote count. They say that's just as important. One man I did see who, 93-year-old person, that'll show up on our social media a little bit later, but he said that He was in a wheelchair, and he says, I'm 93. He had a sign that said, I'm 93 years old. I can't walk, but I can vote. He said, and when I spoke to him, he said, this is what it's all about, getting the chance to go out there and tell people exactly how important it is to get their voices heard, and to do so by actually taking it to the ballot box. You've been out here interviewing people. I saw you were out there in Fort Mill earlier, were you not?
Yeah.
What's your name? First of all, tell us your name. You're going to have me on camera as I have you on camera.
Yes, we're dueling cameras here. My name is Gary Pierce. I do the York County Democratic Party's YouTube channel, YCDP TV.
So just from your
viewers from you now.
Yes, that's okay. That's absolutely fine. And check you guys out as well. Give that address again.
YCDP TV on YouTube.
Excellent. As we take a shot, you were in Fort Mill earlier. Tell us about this crowd, what you're seeing out here today, what you're hearing more importantly.
I mean, they're huge. I had not been to the Fort Mill version before. They've done one before up there, and this is the second time they've done it, and it was much bigger than I expected it to be. I've been down here before, and I've seen big crowds and small crowds, and today's a big crowd.
Today's a big crowd. Now, you're a member of the Democratic Party, so we want to ask you, what does this mean for your party?
Well, to see people like-minded down here in South Carolina, where, it's a pretty red state, or at least so I'm told, to be around a whole lot of people that have progressive values is encouraging. I like to say I know where I live, but this season, this episode, or this election season, I'm not so sure. Maybe we live in a little bit different place now.
And I have to ask, because there are a lot of Americans who are not happy with either party. What do you as a Democrat say about not just what's happening today, but what can you do, or what does your party need to do to say that while you may not like what's in the White House, some people say, I don't like what the opposition is doing as well. What do you say about that?
Yeah, I'm certainly aware of that people don't like Democratic Party, they don't like the Republican Party, they don't like politics at all. And what I say is, look at what those parties represent. None of them get to do everything they want, although right now one party seems to be at least pushing their way to do everything they want. Look at what they represent. Pick the one that comes closest to your values. And if they don't line up exactly, well, you're probably never going to find someone who lines up exactly.
Okay, thank you so very much. He's been out here all day. He'll be out here throughout the day, and you can watch him again. He gave us that website. We'll put a link up for folks. I'll put it on my social media so we can link up, and you can see what he's doing as well. That is the scene. Continues to be a great crowd. Lots of nice people out here trying to get their point across that they're upset with this current administration and they want change. We're right here in Rock Hill. This is Richard Vane. We'll send it back to you, Julie.
Richard, I cannot wait to see the other angle of the camera there. Always a good time. Thank you so much for covering this for us today. I know it's important, and you've been out there all day long.
He was real close to my face. Yeah.
Richard, thank you so much. All right, we're going to head back to Tradisha. She's in Uptown Charlotte. Tradisha, I know that this is wrapped up in the last 45 minutes or so. Still some people there. I see some movement happening behind you. What's going on in Uptown?
Yeah, so for the most part, the crowds are gone. But like I said, we do still have some folks lingering around. You mentioned folks behind me. That's actually the people we're going to talk to. We're going to turn around to this group. Come. You can see they're dressed as clowns. One of very many creative costumes that I've told you that we've been seeing all day out here. So my first question to you guys is, what's the concept behind the costume?
We believe that we are participating in an act of political theater, not direct action or change. There isn't really anything that's done by this. We are clowns at the circus, led by police, people to lead you and guide you like cows. What are we protesting? What are we rioting? We're not. Nothing is getting done.
And you guys said this is not your first No Kings protest. Talk to me a little bit about what inspires you to come out here. What are some things that you guys want to see change?
Well, a lot of what we see is, the same thing year after year, month after month. You get an organized protest maybe a month from now. You can only march in a block around the city. This is a police escort. This is all very structured, very organized. We're doing things the right way, the way God intended. It's just do you see any sort of efficacy from what you're seeing? Do you feel like a clown when you're walking through these streets? Because I sure do.
Okay. Was there anything you wanted to add on that? Because I know we spoke with you as well. Just want to make sure.
No, I agree. What use is it walking around First Ward every other month? We scheduled this, 3 months out? Yeah. What's happened in the past 3 months? Let's think about it.
And another thing is, you guys are also in character. You know, I've been watching for a while. You didn't just come in costume. You guys have been in character for a while. So talk to me a little bit about the importance of getting attention and actually acting like clowns today.
So, a lot of our shtick is the clowns. We love joy, we love whimsy, and we love fun. We love chaos. We hate rules, and we love information and zines. We've been passing probably 400 zines out today about different political beliefs that we have, stuff that we care about, how to get involved in your community, labor unions in town, mutual aid, grassroots. You'll see a lot of them set up on the side. A lot of those people are our friends and know us.
Yeah.
For us, this is, to be seen, is another way for us to distribute information, and is to call attention to the fact that this is circus.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for your time. And as you just mentioned, there is a lot of posts still up, a lot of folks spreading information. Once again, one of the biggest themes is not just to come out here and walk the streets in Uptown, not just to protest and demonstrate on a random day, but to also encourage folks to come together and vote. They say that's going to be the real cause to bring change. Julie, I'll toss it back to you.
Tradisha, thank you for being out there all day for us, really in the middle of this protest. We appreciate it so much. I do want to, while we are on all of this coverage of No Kings protests, protesting Donald Trump, the president, as well as his administration, I want to get back to the statement that we have from the White House. Again, at this point, still the only statement we've gotten from them about these protests. This is from Abigail Jackson, White House spokeswoman. She said, quote, "The only people who care about these Trump derangement therapy sessions are the reporters who are paid to cover them." Of course, we are still thinking about, both Republicans and Democrats will be thinking about how this impacts the midterms. We don't have official numbers yet at this point for how many people came out across the nation or in our area, but that will be very telling to see how many people came out to protest President Donald Trump, particularly compared to the last one and the one before that. This is the third round of No Kings protests. We're going to take a quick break and then head back out to Walker Lawson in Monroe, so stick with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Live Impact News. We're going to continue on with our coverage of the No Kings protests in our area. Walker Lawson is live for us right now in Monroe. Walker, what have you learned? What are you seeing since we last talked to you?
Yeah, guys, definitely seeing the crowd grow here. Of course, a lot of people just coming from all different walks of life here and gathering on all four corners here in downtown Monroe. We have some different signs up. One sign that says this is what democracy looks like, hands off the research, no kings since 1776. So again, A lot of people for a lot of different messages. I've heard ICE Epstein files. We have heard about an array of different things. So again, just people out here saying that they want to voice their right to protest this administration and the things that they're doing. So again, a lot of people are also happy by the turnout they're seeing here. As I mentioned, we were in Waxhaw. We saw more people, I believe, than the last time there was a No Kings protest. And then here today, we have quite a large group in downtown.
All right, Walker, you've been all over the place for us today. We appreciate it. Thank you so much for your work out there. We're going to head back to Boston. That is one of the larger protests we've seen so far today. We've been to D.C., we've been to Atlanta, we've been to Philadelphia, Minneapolis. But let's take a look there. I mean, you can just see the massive crowds. We're going to take a listen to see what's happening on stage in just a second here.
Know it. We're not going to take it by Twisted Sister. We're not going to take it. This bank is funding hatred. We're not going to take it anymore, and we are thrilled to be joined by members of the Good Trouble Brass Band. Good Trouble, take it away, give us our note.
We're not gonna take it. This bank is funding hatred. We're not gonna take it anymore. Sing it with us.
All right, quite a scene there in Boston. I was just talking about the numbers. It's going to take a while to get the numbers from across the nation, in our area, in Charlotte. But I mean, I'm quite intrigued to hear the official count for Boston, because that is just an expansive crowd there. Live look from a helicopter at one of our stations in the region. We're going to take another quick break, but stick with us. We'll wrap up coverage of our No Kings protests after this. Welcome back to Live Impact News here. Julie Kay in the Impact Studio, 2:56, just a couple minutes shy of 3. But before we go, I wanted to bring you back to Fort Mill, where we began this newscast. And I want to bring you back to some of the interviews that Richard got when he was out there. Take a listen.
I totally agree. I think we come out here to make sure that our voice is heard, and also to let other people know they're not alone, that we're going to join together and stand tall and make our voices heard, and hopefully we're looking to change.
How does this presidency compare to others?
Well, it's a disappointment. The presidency, to me, is a very important position. It's one I've always respected my entire life. I was in the military, so I served our country, and I take that very seriously. I'm very patriotic. So I'm disappointed that the presidency this time is being abused and not working for the benefit of most of the people, particularly the underserved and those in greatest need. The ones that need the help the most from our government are being left behind. So we're out here to make sure that change happens next November and in the future. That's our objective, and I think we're going to be successful.
Yeah, that was just really one of the many, many interviews that Richard got throughout the day. He was in Fort Mill, now he's in Rock Hill. We can take a live look there actually in just a moment. But first, I want to just wrap up the coverage that we've had today. Like I said, Rock Hill, Fort Mill. We've been to Waxhaw, Monroe, Uptown Charlotte all day long. This has been a busy day, and those are just some of the 20 protests in our region. I do want to come back one more time to that statement from the White House. I'll read it again. The only people who care about these Trump derangement therapy sessions are the reporters who are paid to cover them. That's a direct quote from Abigail Jackson, White House spokeswoman. We have not heard directly from President Trump, but we will be monitoring Truth Social throughout the day, where he's most likely to comment on these protests, if he does at all today. But again, this is continuing, even though we are stopping here in the Live Impact studio for now. We're going to have a full wrap up in our 6 p.m. newscast with all of those crews that we've had around the region. We're going to bring you out, though, with these scenes. This is a live look at Boston, just an expansive scene here. Very intrigued to get the official count later on. Of course, this one is still getting started, and then we'll round you out with Monroe. Live look there from one of our area's many, many protests. Thank you so much for watching here on Live Impact News. We'll see you again at 6 p.m.